Hi, this is Linda with Sweet Aria Decor. Thank you so much for purchasing this Farm Fresh Carrots wreath kit. I hope you're going to enjoy it as much as I had fun putting it together. Now this style is great to do if you have a storm door, you want something narrow for the inside of your home, or if you're a beginning wreath maker. So let's go over what came in the kit. You will find a 10-inch roll of orange metallic border stripe mesh. You will also find 17 chenille stems. Okay, they're pipe cleaners. You will also find an assortment of ribbons. Now you will see that there are, one set is longer than the other. The set that is longer is pre-measured to 14 inches. These are for your ribbon tails. These 3 ribbons that are shorter at 12 inches, this is for your bow. Now I did include enough ribbon here that you can make multiple bows if you want. For this example, we're only going to make one. We have our Farm Fresh carrot sign. I like to staple pipe cleaners onto the back of the sign. However, I did also include 2 of these cable tie mounts that you can also use on the back of your sign if you like. And then we have our wreath frame. Now this, you'll notice, has 4 rings. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 in the outside rings to the inside. And then these are called the spines. There's 6 of those. What we're going to do is take our pipe cleaners and we are going to create spots where we can attach our mesh and ribbons to the wreath. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to go with the outside, or the inside first and then the outside. So I'm going to go with rings 1 and 2. So I'm putting this pipe cleaner up from underneath ring 2. Okay, it's on the left-hand side of the spine. I'm going to bring it around. I'm going to go over the top of ring 1. Put it back over under the bottom of ring 2. Do you see how it kind of looks like? Looks like the Harry Potter scar. Okay, you see that there? Then we just want to pull this down, bring it back up to the top. Okay, so it's like this. We want to just give it a good solid twist. And there we go. Let's try that again. Under ring 1, 2 to the left of the spine. Over the top of ring 1. Then I'm going to put it underneath ring 2, and this is all on the right-hand side of the spine. Pull it nice and tight. Bring it back up toward the top. Now we're going to twist it. There we go. I'm going to repeat that for the rest of these rings. Once you get this process down, it's very simple. Now it's easier to do the inside rings because these go on the spines so they can't slip side to side. We're going to do something just slightly different for the ones on the outside. So this is the 4th set on the inside. Underneath ring 2 to the left, over ring 1, under ring 2 on the right. Pull it back up, over ring 1, twist these. There we go. And number 6. If you're going to make a whole bunch of wreaths at one time, you can also kind of pre-make these as well if you know what ribbon color you're going to use, so you know what pipe cleaners would work well with this. The reason I chose black pipe cleaners is because this is going to be the top ribbon that we're going to use, so the black with the black. All right, so now we have our inside ring done. We have to go to the outside. So you see right here, these are the spines. On the outside, we're going to put it on rings 3 and 4, but we're going to go in the middle, okay? Because we don't want to have mesh and mesh and ribbon and ribbon. We want to stagger that. So I'm putting that up from the top of ring 3, bringing it over ring 3, pulling it down underneath 4, twist. Here we go. Now I did give it a nice tight little tug, okay? Let's do that again. I'm on ring 3. Rings 3 and 4. I'm going to bring it back over ring 3, pull it back underneath 4, give it a nice good twist. It's okay to bend this a little bit because if we don't, this ends up sliding back and forth, and we don't want that. We want this to be nice and secure, but we also don't want to be so tight that we end up bending our wreath frame. Okay, so this is the 3rd on the outside. This is a very handy method. I live outside of the suburb of Chicago, so most of the doors here have storm doors. So thin wreaths do very well up in this particular area. But again, it's also great for an interior door as well. You want something cute on the door, but you don't want it to protrude too far into the hallway. You don't want to walk into it. Okay. This is what our finished wreath frame looks like. 6 on the inside and 6 on the outside. Okay. Now I'm going to move this to the side. So this is border stripe metallic mesh. I actually did already cut mine, but I will show you how I cut it. This is 10 inches wide. I want to cut each piece 18 inches long, okay? So if you don't already have a nice straight edge, you want to start with a nice straight edge. I happen to use a rotary cutter. You don't need to use one. You can just use plain scissors as well, okay? But for this purposes, I've got it on my mesh holder. This is Susie's triple stationary mesh roller. I love this very much. It holds all the mesh. It's from www.simplify-organize.com. It's perfect. You can use this for gift wrap too. I've had this for years and it's one of my favorite wreath making tools. Okay. Now I'm going to pull this out to 10 inches. Or not 10 inches. I'm cutting it at 18 inches. I pulled it right to the very end of my mat where the measurement starts, and on 18 I'm just gonna roll it right up, and then you'll see how it wants to naturally curl. Now you cut 12 of these pieces. There is going to be extra additional on your roll, okay? You can cut it all if you'd like, but it's easier to keep the rest of the mesh on the roll. You can use the rest of this mesh in another wreath if you'd like. You can buy additional mesh, and you can then make more wreaths if you'd like. So I've actually done is I stacked all of mine. So it comes like this. I like to, however, put it on top of itself so it doesn't go rolling off the end of my table as mine typically does. So what I'll do is take something heavy and just kind of keep it on there. It'll keep it from going flying. Okay, so I already have 12 of these cut. Again, 18 inches long a piece, cut 12 of these. Okay, I'm going to move this over here. The next thing we're going to cut is the ribbons. Now you'll notice these are already kind of wound around. You know, don't unwind these yet, okay? We are going to look at these and make sure that you take the 3 shortest ones. These are for the bow. So we're going to take these 3 shortest ones. We're going to go put these off to the side, okay? We don't want to accidentally cut those. Now these have been pre-measured to 14 inches. I wound these around a ribbon tail board. We like to have all the tails be 14 inches. So I've already measured out 14 inches when I wound this for you. We're going to get 12 pieces of this. It's very easy to do. What we're going to do is take your scissors, okay, and see where the loop is. See both the loops? We're just going to take your scissors right down that loop, and we're just going to cut, okay? Cut one side, and we're going to go down the other loop, okay, and cut the other. And we now have 12 pieces of ribbon. Now what we can do is, I'm going to show you what it means to dovetail. I'm going to do it just with one. Once you're used to dovetailing, you can do this with a whole stack of ribbons. Okay, we're going to take the ribbon. What a dovetail means is it's going to make a V shape at the end of the ribbon, so it looks very nice and pretty. So we're going to put the wired edges together. Okay, now this is the wired edge, and this is the inside edge. This is the fold. We're going to cut from the inside outward on an angle toward the wire, snip off just a little bit at the end, and that gives us a very pretty dovetail shape. Okay, you do that with both ends of the ribbon. If you're familiar with doing this, you can fast forward through this part. I'm sure you're already familiar with how to dovetail, but I like to make sure that I do this at a very basic beginner level so that anybody can make one of these wreath kits super easy. All right, now what I'm going to do is take, because I do this a lot, I'm taking 6 of these at one time, okay? Making sure they're all very nicely stacked. And I'm bending it. I can cut a bunch of these at once. I never cut more than 6 at a time, cutting from inside outward. Use very good sharp scissors. All right, make sure we got this all nicely stacked here. Okay, and then we're going to bend these again as well. We're going to cut this into a V shape. And here we go. I like to take all the little tails and remove them off my work surface immediately, just because otherwise it bothers me. You don't have to do that, okay? Now I'm going to cut the rest of the stack. Again, I put it on its side, make sure everything is nice and flat, and then everything butts up against the right, bending it in half, dovetailing. And you can cut as many as you want at a time. If you want to dovetail one by one, if you're new at this, feel free. If you want to stack it, feel free. Just make sure that everything is level. Sometimes you can look to the side too, right? You can see like the outside ones don't go in as far just because everything is stacked. That's okay as long as it's equal. All right. Now we're going to cut the bunny. I always feel bad cutting patterns that have cute animals on them. I hope this doesn't hurt you, bunny. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. And go cut the other side. All right. Okay. Here we go. 6 and 6. Cutting this together. Easter ribbons have the cutest patterns. I love that. They're so cute. How could you not love a bunny, right? Okay, we're going to cut the rest. Okay. And here we go. Alrighty, now I'm making sure too that I'm putting my bunnies the same way. I don't want to have one stack up and one stack down. That will not look good when everything's over. Everything's got to face the same way. Yes, some of these bunnies will be upside down on the wreath because you're going to bend it in half, but it'll be all right. Okay, now I'm going to bring my wreath frame back over. Okay, and I'm going to have my mesh over here. I'm going to pull both of these ribbons down here. Now, if you make this style on your own, you can also use an additional 1.5 inch size ribbon if you'd like to add a third ribbon. This kit does not have that. We only have that on the bow, but it's up to you. Okay. So what we're going to do is start with our very first piece of mesh, and you'll notice it naturally kind of wants to curl down like that, right? We're going to embrace that. We're going to lay this flat, okay? We're going to ruffle this up. We want to leave this flat, okay? We're going to start at the bottom, putting our fingers together, and we're just going to scrape and gather. Scrape and gather. You can hear the sound like nails on a chalkboard going right up there, okay? And you end up with a flary, very flat-looking bow tie, okay? I'm going to put that on the outside ring on one of my sets. Now, I am not opening up this set of pipe cleaners. I'm just simply laying it on top. All right. Then I'm going to give it a nice twist. Okay. But we're not going to leave it like this. We want these edges to go over each other, just like this. I did not develop this method. I learned this pancake method from Coach Melissa with Sincerely Creative Mob. She's one of the coaches in the Decor Exchange coaching group. And this is my favorite wreath making method. I love it. So very grateful to her. She's a fantastic person to follow. You got to go give her a follow if you don't already. But I'm sure if you've made wreaths before, you absolutely know who Sincerely Creative Mom is. Okay. Now, I do something differently. I do what's called the lazy wreath making method. So you can put these all the way in around the outside and then go back and put in the ribbons. But since I'm here, I like to put the ribbons on now. So what I'm going to do is take the bottom ribbon and the top ribbon. Okay. Bunnies on the bottom, I think, and then the black ribbon on the top. All right. Or you could, if you wanted to, you could go like this as well. Let's take a look, give you different options, okay? It's going to look like that if we have beige on top, and it's going to look like this if we have the black on the top. Now, since this already has the black and white pattern, I personally, for my wreath, would like to do the black on the top, so that's how I'll do it. But you can do it any way you like, okay? You can choose, because they both do have an equally busy pattern. All right? So I'm going to put my black on top. And I kind of like even them up. You know, they might not be exact because we dovetailed them. But then I fold it. Okay. Push down. Here we go. And then I gather it. All right, right where that seam was. So now I have this. Now I like to kind of bend it into a V shape a little bit. I'm going to open this back up. I'm going to put this in here. Okay. I just set it right in there. And now I'm just going to twist it right back in there. All right. Now, we don't need the rest of this, but I like to twist it up so there's like maybe about an inch or so. I'm going to cut it off at about an inch. Okay. Ooh, nice snip. But we don't want to leave that sticking up because it looks like it doesn't look good. So we're going to move this to the side. We're going to just tuck that right back behind there and then bring that right back there. Okay. Now we don't want to leave the ribbons like this. We want to separate these ribbons out. So we're going to pull the bottom one to the right and the top one to the left. Bottom one to the right, top one to the left. Okay, that gives you this option where it's staggered. You can also, if you prefer, do insides and outsides, which would look like this. That gives you that option as well. I personally prefer this. Okay, so that looks pretty. Now we're going to have another layer of mesh from the inside that's going to come and it's going to cover a lot of this. So you're not really going to see that when we're done. And then when we put the truck on, you're not really going to see that on the top layer either. Okay, so we don't have to worry about it. But you can always take something like a little styrofoam heart or a little styrofoam ball or even some jute tubing or mesh tubing and kind of like make little loops and put that in there to kind of hide that as well. All right, now I'm going to go through and we're going to do this process again. I'm going to lay this flat. I'm scraping all the way up. Got my bow tie shape. I'm just going to set it right on top of there. Twist. Okay. Now I'm going to layer bottom. I layer left over right. That's how I do both the top and bottom. I layer left over right. Okay. Now, I'm going to undo this just to make it easier when I get my ribbons over. See, I undo it and it doesn't, the mesh has already listened to me. It already stays pinched. It's not coming out. All right. Get bunny on the bottom, carrot on the top. I'm going to bend it in half and then kind of make a crease so I know where's my midpoint that I need to ruffle it up. Okay. You can see my crease. And I'm just going to go gather that up. I'm going to bend it into a V. Put it in here. Twist. You don't want any, you give it a tug and make sure it shouldn't be loose enough to slide out. It should be a nice, tight twist. Then I'm going to open that up, poke that behind, just bend it a little bit, and then let it go, okay? Bottom to the right, top to the left. Bottom to the right, top to the left. And as we do this, your tails are going to move. They're gonna scoot back, kind of like how that already is. You just got to kind of do this a couple times. It'll eventually get to learn where you want it to be. Okay. And as I said before, you can choose to do all the mesh first, and then go back and put the ribbons on, and then do the inside with the mesh, and then put the ribbons on. I, however, call this the lazy method. It works for me. Now I'm going to do this in real time. I'm not going to fast forward this video, but if you're watching this and you already kind of get the hang of it, feel free to fast forward to the next part where we are going to attach the sign. Or you can fast forward to where we're going to go do the inside top row as well. Wherever you're comfortable with. You don't have to sit and listen to me yammer. go. Bend it in half. So I have been making wreaths since 2016. I started because I saw a cute Easter wreath on Pinterest. Oh, the rabbit hole I have fallen down. I fell down that rabbit hole hard. And that Easter, I made wreaths for myself and my mom and my aunt. And I have to say, they were the ugliest wreaths I have ever made. However, I have gotten better over the years. Okay. So here we go. That is the third one. Here we go with number 4. Okay, this is the 4th, twisting it. So when I first started, I started trying to do different methods. I found this one was one that really worked well for me. I, of course, like to make the big, puffy, poofy ones as well. But when it comes to wreath kits, I like to kind of stick mainly with making thin wreath kits because it is less expensive to ship. And also, it lets me keep down the cost of the kit. I like to pride myself on having very reasonably priced kits. That way, it kind of opens up the wreath making ability to pretty much anybody. And we like to make sure that we get as much people crafting as possible because crafting is fantastic therapy. I'll bring this up. What it does is it gives you absolute control. So when life is completely out of control, as mine has been due to some personal issues in the past, here we go, I'm cutting it 1 inch. It gave me back control of my life. And I like that because the ribbon is going to go where I say. I'm going to match this. And I know how it's going to look. I can control every aspect of how it's going to come out. Like I'm bending this right now. I'm bending these ribbon tails. They're doing what I want it to. And it doesn't seem like that big of a deal where, oh, you bend a ribbon and it goes where you want it to. But it's something that gives you control back over the results of what happens. And to me, that is what I needed. And I bet you a lot of other people out there need that too. So that's why I firmly believe in the healing power of crafting. Now, I will tell you, it probably would be cheaper therapy if I actually hired a therapist. But Hobby Lobby does not take my insurance. Ha ha, but I'm bummed. So this is my therapy. All right. Here's the 5th set of ribbons on the outside. Okay. Now I'm twisting all the way up. Trimming, bending it in. Okay, here we go. All right. And I also kind of give it a little push down on the top just to kind of make sure it kind of stays there. Once I put this next one in, I will hold it up when this is done and show you how thin it currently is just with the outside done. Now, if you are making wreaths and you do have a large size sign, kind of like the size that we do have, you do have an option not to do an inside ring if you don't want to. If you'd rather just keep it super thin and just do an outside ring, you can absolutely do that as well. I just like to have double because I'm pretty extra with most everything I do in life. Okay. Now I'm going to bend this one. Yeah, here we go. Right up the center. Open this up. Give it a good twist. Twist around itself until we have about 1 inch. Okay. And then I'm just going to snip. Part the Red Sea. Bend it in. Let it go. Now I'm going to separate these ribbons out. Okay, so this is what it looks like just with the outside ring done. Okay, let me make this a little larger so you guys can see. There we go. Okay, and this is from the side point of view how thin this is currently. Now it is going to get a little thicker once we put another layer on, but I mean, this is, I mean, I've eaten sandwiches that are thicker than this. Well, that's not saying much, but still. All right, so I'm going to go through and kind of find, I'm going to stand up in between here, all the spots where I've got my inside ones. All right, make it easier to find. All right, so now I don't have to go hunting for them. I kind of know where they are. All right. Now we're going to do the inside, and the inside is exactly the same way. It's just, it's going to cover a little bit more when it's going to cover over that. So again, we're going to lay the mesh flat. We're going to start gathering from the bottom, going up to the top. Okay, so we have our little bow shape. Okay. Now I'm going to put that in here. Yeah. Find the other pipe cleaner. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to give it a nice tight tug, okay, and a twist. We're going to layer the left over the right, okay, and then here we go. Now it's got the round shape. See how it covers that pipe cleaner and it covers that pipe cleaner? Perfect. Now we're going to lay this out. 1 and 2. Bend it in half. All right. Pinch it. Going to open this up, and you notice again, it does not come popping out. It stays right there. Put that right in there. Okay. Pull tight. Twist to give me about an inch. This is so cute. I love this carrot ribbon. Now, I will tell you, I'm not much of a vegetable girl. I pretty much don't eat, I don't eat vegetables. But I like these carrots. These carrots are cute. They have no nutritional value, but they're adorable. Okay, so now I've separated that out. I see how it gets really nice coverage then when you put that top layer on, right? It just gives you extra something, but you could just leave the outside if you wanted to. If you had like a 12-inch wide sign, even then, I don't think that would necessarily be wide enough. Let's take a look. How many inches from this to this? This is at 20. Across, this is at 6. This is about 14 inches from here to here, okay? So a 12-inch sign is going to come in, so you probably couldn't cover the whole thing. You have to do a little finagling. All right. There's our next piece of mesh. Now, the better quality mesh you use, the less fraying you're going to have, okay? So let's talk about fraying. All mesh is going to fray. That is just the nature of it being mesh. Now, some people do like to cut their mesh with a wood-burning tool. I don't do that. I don't want the fumes, but also I already risk enough with using a hot glue gun with burning myself. So I just cut it. So that's what most people do. We just cut one. All right, so you're gonna find these little strays occasionally. They're like little stray hairs popping up. When you see them, you can just trim them. When we're all done making this, our last thing before we put the little hanger on the back, if you want to put a zip tie on the back, is I flip it over and I give it a haircut. I just find the little strays, okay? I don't really worry about that too much when I'm making it, unless I see something that's really obviously sticking out and it's gonna drive me nuts. Okay, so let's continue adding on our ribbon tails. I'm excited to get to the part where we put the sign on. I love that sign. When I was ordering the supplies for it, I saw that sign and I knew, I'm like, that's going to be one of my Easter wreath kits. I usually make wreath kits that are only maybe a couple of them, maybe between 2 and 6. It depends what supplies I can find when I go to this warehouse sale from my supplier. They have like open box warehouse sale twice a year, so I would go there, and that's how I can keep the cost of most of my kits so low, is I get them for very low cost. They don't have mesh there. That I do have to order mesh from them, but sometimes I'll find like fabric mesh, which is okay. But this one I actually decided to place an order so that I could do many of these wreath kits, and I'm also probably going to teach a class with these in person as well. So I've got, I think, 16 of these trucks. So I've got 16 of these kits. And then I order 50-yard spools of ribbon. And then I sit here and I measure everything out. So I really do enjoy that. I started doing kits last year, and I really enjoy it. Sometimes people don't know what should go together, or they're just not sure how to order it, or sometimes with some of the larger suppliers online, you have to place a large order to get free shipping. But my shipping cost on my kits is generally $5.99, which is not bad. Here we go, bunny, and then the black on top. Shipping costs have gone up exponentially over the last few years. So I do, on completed design items that have a higher price tag, like a completed wreath or centerpiece, or even a bow, I usually do free shipping. But I mean, it's all worked into the cost of this. But with wreath kits, I do charge shipping on that. But it's still, again, $5.99 is not bad. Some of the places I order from, you'd order a spool of ribbon, and I think the shipping charge would be $12.99, because they want to get you to order more, like big and bulk. I may look big and bulky, but I don't necessarily need people to order big and bulky. I don't have that many supplies yet. I am trying to branch out, but here we go. Just a couple more. Again, laying this flat. If you're comfortable with it at this point, you can do this on your own. You can continue to listen to me as I bore you with the details of my business. All right. It is a little bit harder to try to find the inside pipe cleaners when you're doing the inside ring. So, if you gotta, hunt a little bit, don't feel bad. We all have to hunt for it. Here we go. There's that second one. Then it kind of like push down the mesh. You want to feel it. It's got to be tight against that ring, okay? And then you just pull it and twist, okay? And then just layer our ends, okay? This is so cute. I'm filming this right now in January. I cannot wait until it becomes springtime, because right now I'm looking outside and it is snowy and gray. And looking at something springy makes me feel happy. So hopefully it will make you feel happy too. Okay, putting this in here, twisting. Here we go. Pull it apart, push that down between there, and bring it together again. When we're all done, I will flip it over so you can see what the back of this looks like. The back of this usually looks pretty clean. I mean, I gotta trim some hairs a little bit, but in terms of, how the pipe cleaners are on there and everything, it's generally looks not bad. Sometimes people will take like woven placemats or something and they will attach that because they're worried that the wreath is going to scratch the door, but there's really nothing on here that's going to scratch a door. At least not on this. This is not an evergreen type of wreath. An evergreen wreath, people might have to watch out a little bit more for, but this is typically nice and soft. Here we go. Gathering it up. Notice that if you wanted to, you could end up making more of a curl or a cruffle, and I'll show you that in a second. If you prefer that, if you didn't want to have it necessarily be like a flat pancake. So, I see some strays. Here we go. Boop. There we go. On my last one, I'll kind of give you a brief glimpse as to what that would look like. It would make it fluffier, and it might not necessarily fit between the storm door, but it gives you kind of another option to make something just as fluffy, if you would like. Twist, 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 twist. All right, twist it so it's like one long piece. Trim it, leave about an inch. And I'm tossing the remnants away directly into my garbage can underneath. Here we go. Okay, I've got one left. So, as I was saying before, sometimes you can decide to do what's called a cruffle. So if you now instead of going down, you put it up, okay? And how it wants to curl in on itself. So you could curl it in a little bit on each end, and then you gather it up, okay? And then you end up with, see how it's a lot fluffier? You could do that as well. You could even put two cruffles at each point to make it a little bit thicker and fatter if you like. So that's another way. It's not going to make a thin wreath, like I said before, but it's just another wreath making method. It's called cruffle. It's curl and ruffle combined makes cruffle. Okay, now I'm just laying it flat again. Here we go. Opening this up. Here we go. Layering the ends. There we go. And my last set of ribbons. Wow. For me, that seemed like it went kind of fast, but I'm sure if you're doing it or if you're listening to me drone on, that probably felt like it took forever. Not too bad though. Here we go, opening this up. Twist, twist, twist. Snip. Ooh. There we go. Bend that behind there. Separate out the ribbon tails. And when I'm done putting everything on, that includes the bow, the sign, everything else, I'll go back and I'll readjust my tails one more time. Okay? So, this is where we're at right now. If I flip it over, this is what the back looks like. I do see a couple little stray hairs, little chin hairs that I pluck at night next to my bed because I'm of a certain age where we all start getting the chin hairs. Isn't that just a lovely little bonus of being a woman? Yeah, I gotta love it. All right. Checking the outside, everything looks good. One more little hair here. You see how it looks nice and clean? All we see are the pipe cleaners on the back. Okay, and everything else looks nice and clean. And here we go. This is how thick we are looking at right now. Pretty good. Okay. Now, this is how I personally like to do the sign. So I flip my sign over. Okay. I cut off this rope. When I first started making wreaths, I did attach it with the rope, and then it swung side to side every time the wreath moved. So don't recommend doing that. But if you're new and you're kind of just starting out, then, do whatever's easiest for you. So one option is you can take these and you peel off the adhesive, and then you would put on an adhesive called E6000. It is a craft glue that comes in a tube. This is my shriveled one. You would put E6000 on there. You would press it down. Now this takes a while to cure. So what you do in the meantime then is you would go around the edges with a hot glue gun and you would glue that on there. Now I personally like to staple mine. So my method is to take basically the tube that the mesh comes in, okay? This is one of the tubes. I cut a strip of it, and then I just cut it into squares. So I cut 1-inch squares, and then I take 2 squares because I'm using staples that are slightly longer, okay? And then I will staple these directly on there. Now I want to first see where I want this to be, because if I do side by side, then it could go wonky up and down. So I like to put one at the bottom and one up at the top, okay? So if I did that, a bottom and a top, okay, that's going to put it like that, and that's going to, hold on a second. Oh, there we go. It's buried. I'm like, I thought I'm missing a layer. Yeah, there it is. I had to recount. Okay? But I want to put one kind of down here by the tire and then one up here kind of by the top. So I'm going to go kind of like at the 7 o'clock and the 2 o'clock kind of position, okay? I guess it's like 8 and 1, really. I don't know. Kind of like this, okay? Because what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to have it up a little bit higher, okay? A little bit higher. because I'm going to put my bow down here. Do you see this one right here? I want to make sure my sign's not covering it up. I've got clear visibility into that 6 o'clock position, okay? So I'm putting my fingers right where the pipe cleaners are, and then I'm kind of coming up to see where does this need to be on the sign. And it needs to be right here, okay? So I'm going to put that right there and this right here, okay? So that kind of tells me where it needs to be. Now, I push these flat just to kind of flatten them out, right? But that's where you could put your cable mounts as well. I'm getting my trusty staple gun, okay? I'm taking one of the pipe cleaners. That's why I gave you guys more than 12, all right? And I'm going to staple the middle of it. I staple it on at least twice, okay? And then down on the bottom here, I will do that same thing. And you notice how I did again. Not straight across from each other, because because this is a heavier sign, I don't want it to wobble, okay? I want it to be secure on here. So here we go. I'm going to put one down here and one up there. So I'm going to line it up, and right where I put, do you see this pipe cleaner right where that is? This is just going to straddle that pipe cleaner. It's already there. We're not breaking new ground. We're not making a new path. We're following the path that's already been made. There are, however, additional layers to have to go through with the pipe cleaner, so it might take you an extra minute or so to kind of get it through there. You want to go underneath the second ring and over the top ring, okay? You want to straddle 2 rings with this. That, to me, gives it the most stability. So then I just kind of pull down from the bottom, all right? And I give it a quick twist. Not super tight yet, because I want to be able to maneuver it in order to get the one on the other side, okay? So then here we go. I'm going to put it in up here. Here's my, I guess, 1 o'clock position, I guess you'd call it. I don't know, maybe it's 1:30. Maybe it took a late lunch, who knows? Oops. Got extra pipe cleaners flying at me from different spaces here. Okay. This is going to follow this right here. All right. All right, now I'm going to flip it over so you can see. Oops. I want to make sure that we're straddling rings 1 and 2. So I'm going to move this back a little bit. So here's 1 and 2. And again, I just twist it. But I like to twist the whole thing. Okay. The whole thing. And then I snip just the end so that it's flush. And then we just wind it around the frame over rings 1 and 2, and then kind of just tuck the end in. And then if I see any more stray hairs, which as we work, we're going to find more of these. Here we go. I'm going back to the other side. I'm going to make it a little tighter now that I've got my final position. And I can twist this all into one piece. All right, snip. Bending it around the rings. All right, bend that in a little bit, flip it over. And it's so cute. And you can see right down here, okay, that is where we're going to put our bow. All right, so this is up a little higher. And if you want to raise it higher, you can even go higher than that if you want to. Make sure all of my ribbons around the sign are in the proper location. All right, make sure the ribbon is on top of the mesh. See here how this is kind of like the mesh is covering the ribbon? That's because of how I put the mesh and the ribbon on. Alrighty. This is looking so cute. I'm so excited. Okay, now guys, it's time to make the bow. Now, I will tell you, I personally use a bow maker. I've got some carpal tunnel in my hands. There is absolutely no shame in using a bow maker. I've gotten hate before, literal hate online about making reeds because I was using a bow maker. And I'm like, well, aren't you ableist? I would love to be able to grab and hold it by hand, but it hurts. So I'm going to bring that out. So here, I'm going to put this to the side. Okay. Say, hold on. Say bye, Bunny. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, he's gonna go behind me, and I'm gonna bring my bow maker out. Okay, and I'm gonna keep one of these pipe cleaners handy. And then I'm gonna bring out my ribbons. Now we're not cutting these. Now, do not do what I did before about how we cut them to size. No, you don't need to do that. So because on my wreath, our bottom layer was bunny, we're gonna start with bottom layer being bunny. Now I gave you enough here that you could make 3 small bows. This one, we're only gonna make 2 small bows, so you'll have enough left over. You can make additional bows to either put on the wreath, or you can put it on a lantern. You can hang it on a door. You can put it on the banister. So lots of fun extra things you can do with this, okay? Now, this is directional ribbon, okay? So I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do something so we end up with a bunny that's not upside down, okay? I personally like to start with the dovetail. Now this bow, we're gonna have some tails coming down, but they're not gonna be super, super long, okay? Well, you know what, let me get the wreath back out here and I will show you. I'm gonna measure to see how long do we want this bow. Now I do want it to kind of come down to the bottom, maybe past the bottom of the wreath. So here's where the center of the bow is. All right, and I think that's kind of a good length. It'll come down a little bit, but not much. So that is, it's about an 11-inch tail, okay? It's an 11-inch tail. Now, we're gonna do a pinch and twist, okay? So I got the pretty on the right and the icky on the left, all right? Move this out a little bit, here we go. I'm gonna bring this through. Now, there's not a whole lot of space. We don't necessarily need it to be super wide, okay? Because I don't want to cover too much of the tires, all right? So literally probably going to be 5 inches wide on either side, okay? So let me scoop that up. I'm going to line this up. Now, I'm not smashing it flat, but I'm going to kind of see where's the natural bend. Okay. And then I'm going to kind of pinch and twist so that it looks on this side. It looks good. Okay. Now, I could make another loop, but I'm not going to. I'm going to actually come up with this. Because do you see, we're going to try to kind of keep our bunny on our tails looking good. So we are going to cut this one. That is 5 inches. We're going to cut this at 5.5, okay? Cut it at 5.5. And then we're going to dovetail it because that's going to take a little more of the height off, okay? So by the time we're done, it hits about 5.25, okay? But Linda, you say, we only have half a bow. Oh, but we're going to do this now on the other side, okay? This is the fun part about directional ribbon. Okay, I'm going to cut that. Now I like to kind of just put them together. I'm going to put this over here, right? Just going to measure. I like to just line them up. That looks good. And yep, see, that hits at 11, okay? We're going to do the same thing on this side. If this was on a spool, it would be easier. Sorry, it's pre-cut. All right, we're going to push this down until it's at 5 inches, okay? And then again, we're going to cut this off at 5.5. And then we're going to give it a little dovetail at the end. All right. And this is the bottom layer of our bow. Our bunnies are all going up and down. All right. Looking perfect. Now, we don't really have to worry about that too much with the carrot ribbon. We're a lot luckier on that. So here, let me move this up over to the side. Here we go. Now you can see hopefully the whole bow there. All right, now I'm taking the black ribbon with the carrots and I'm going to dovetail this. Now this should be about a 10-inch tail. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here. I want it to be about 1 inch. We want to see this tail down here. We want to see a little bit. So I'm going to make sure that this hits at 10 inches. Okay, put it in there, pinch and twist. So if this layer was 5 inches on the loops, we're going to come in 1/2 inch. So we now want to have 4.5 inch loops. Okay. So I'm going to do 4.5, push down, All right, and then we're gonna flip that over to the other side, and we're gonna do a 4.5-inch loop. Oops, bring my tail down. Bring the tail down, Linda. 4.5-inch there. Okay, now here you have an option. You can either make another set of loops. So let's kind of look at what would that look like. It all depends how thick you want your bow to be. Okay, so if I did another set of loops, we could separate them out like this, and that would look cute. I personally am going to do that, but you could just leave it with one loop on either side. Okay, but that is, okay, about 4.5. Okay, maybe it's 4 3/4. I'm gonna be honest, it's 4 3/4. All right. Sometimes you got to go with just the extra additional 1/4 inch if it looks better. Okay, there we go. And then now I'm going to pull this down and I'm going to measure. See the tail below here. Okay, and I'm going to just kind of cut a little below that. And dovetail. Okay, now this is going to go loop up, and then the bottom loop is down, and then here is going to be the bottom loop is up, and the top loop is down. We want to do opposites, okay? Bring this down. So super cute. And then this is, let me see how much we have left. We have 3 feet. You have almost 4 feet left of the black ribbon. Okay, so I mean, there's still a significant amount of ribbon left for you to continue making more bows. And you'll have a lot of the orange left as well. Okay, so now I'm going to dovetail this. Now we're going to do something a little different with this one, okay? Put this one in here. Again, I want to be about 1 inch from there, so that should be about 9 inches. Yep, okay. Pinch and twist. Now, this is solid orange, and you're thinking, why do you have to pinch and twist it? Because the stitching is different on the front to the back, so even though there's no real pattern discernment here, you do still want to pinch and twist, okay? So if that was 4.5 inches, we're going to do these loops at 4 inches. Pinch and twist. Bring it around. 4 inches. Pinch and twist. I don't know if I want to do any more, if this is going to be enough. I think I'm going to just have this. I'm just going to do one loop of this. Okay, so what I'm still going to pinch and twist. Okay. But what I want to do is, there's 2 things you can do. Okay. You can either, if you want a loop in the middle, you bring it over and leave 2 fingers. Okay, put 2 fingers here, leave 2 fingers width, and then you would just bring it down and trim it and dovetail it, and then you would have a loop in the center of your bow. Or you can do something like this where you have a cute little carrot, and you could, instead of doing the loop, and you would still bring the 2 sides over. Yes, I know they come on the same side. You would just bend them over. The tail would come over. But I have given you a carrot, and that could also be in the center of this bow if you'd like. So if you want to do that and you're looking at the carrot, we could bring these in a little bit more to be a little thinner. So it's not quite 4 inches. We're talking like 3.5 probably, okay? And that's what I'm going to decide to do with this one. So I've given you 2 options. You can either make a bow, like an extra loop in the center, or you can put this cute little carrot in. Now, he's going to be glued, okay? He's going to be glued, but I think that just adds like an extra cute little something. And he's going to go sideways because we know if we put him up, it's going to, actually, you know what we can do? I'm trimming it. I trimmed the carrot. I think that looks better, though, the little long. All right? That'll look better, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm cutting again a little past the other tail so that when I dovetail, it'll be the same length. Okay. Now I'm going to take my black chenille stem. I'm going to put my hand underneath the bottom layers, okay, so get a good grip. I'm going to push down from the top as I pull up from the bottom. Think of it as a giant sandwich, and you don't want to lose any layers of your BLT, okay? Keeping everything straight. You don't want anything to slide up or down, okay? Keep it nice and layered like that. I'm I'm going to put this around the whole thing. So I like to just basically stab it through my fingers, okay? Bring it around. I usually hold it against my chest, but I'm not going to do that on this video. And then pull tight, and then give it about a good 2 twists, okay? And then, oh my, well, what do I do with this? Well, you can do this, okay? I start from the bottom and work with my layers, okay? There, middle. All right, you see how the black is kind of coming in the void spaces between the beige, and then this kind of comes in the middle. All right, take your fingers, run them down each of the wires in your bow. That's going to make it, give that nice little curl, okay? Here we go. And then I do want to measure out, because I ended up making my inner bow a little bit, the loops a little bit narrower. I'm going to probably have to give it a little trim. So kind of like, you know when you get a manicure and they hold your fingers together to make sure that the lengths are the same? I like to do that with my bows. So that looks the same. This looks, okay, I've got to cut some off of this, okay? And then both of these, you know, I think these both need a little bit of a haircut, so I'm just going to stack them on top of each other. All right, and then give them a little snippy. All right, looking good. All right, bow maker goes to the side. Let's clean up some of this. I do have a hot glue gun ready for the carrot when I'm going to put that on there. You can use some E6000 as well, should you decide to do that. So I hope you enjoy your fun little surprise carrot. I know it's not in the picture. It's just a little surprise. I took the pictures and then I found the carrots earlier today. If I'm being honest, okay? So we see that spot with the pipe cleaner. Again, like we did with the sign, we're just going to go right over those existing spots, okay? So I like to put the top one in first and then grab it, and then I stab the bottom one. It's going to go right over that, and it's going to come under the second ring. All right, I'm twisting, and I'm twisting, and here we go, flipping it. I'm just going to trim it so it's flush, and then just, boom, bend it in. Okay, here we go. Now, move this down. We need to adjust this because right now this is covering our wording and we don't want that. So I'm moving all of these loops down, okay? And these are going to kind of come out toward the side, okay? So they can go to either side of that, but we don't want it to necessarily be covering that, okay? So then my brown bunnies aren't going sideways. They're going kind of down to like the 4 and 8 o'clock positions, okay? Make sure this looks good. You can like kind of twist things. Again, like I said, control. It's letting you kind of control where this goes. And two, you can see some of the tire too if I do it that way, okay? All right, so now I'm going to get ready to glue my carrot on. I'm going to add just a little dab of glue to the back of the carrot. All right, not too much. And now I can put it just like that. How cute is that? You can also get some carrot picks if you wanted to and kind of have some coming out. You know, you can pick some up, I think Hobby Lobby, at home store, lots of places sell carrot picks this time of year. So you can add to this and you can add whatever kind of additional embellishment you would like. See, right now I'm making sure that these mirrors, side mirrors, cover the spots where you can see the pipe cleaner. All right. All right, and then one kind of last check of the bow. Go around, making sure all of your ribbon tails are in the right place, that everything, they're going to want to migrate to their natural position, so you just kind of got to go give them one last, hey, no, you go here you know, listen to mommy or you're going to be sent to your room kind of thing. That's funny. That doesn't work for my kid. Yeah, she's called my bluff on that too many times. All right. Okay. And here is our finished wreath. You can also find other kits available for all different seasons. I'm going to be doing lots of kits at sweetariadecor.com. I like to keep the prices reasonable because I'm trying to get as many people to enjoy and embrace the inner therapy of crafting as possible. That is my mission in life. All right. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate your support, and I wish you all happy spring and happy crafting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. You can shop my store at sweetariadecor.com, and you can follow me all over social media.